Aha, there we go. She's working, lads. Perfect. Okay, can you hear me though? Can you hear me? Helio? Okay, you can hear me. Sweet. Yeah, the stream was set for kids. What? Was it? No? Okay. Die Rich, look Armstrong Doyle, yes, more rich. What is the crack? How are we doing? So now that we are up and running, I'm now gonna share the This is not coming up here though. I don't know. Hi Bommix. Bommix prizes Bomb X. I'm done with the lingo, yo. Oh. There's a let's see. Oh god, we got 2 ads. Bleeding yes. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Okay, there we are. And then Dale Eats. Hello John. I've always really loved your videos. Thank you so much, Dale Eats. So let me just see. How do I share? Where's my share button's usually right there. Ah, there it is. Copy link. And let's see, put it on Threads. Purple Blastoise, Free Palestine, yes, amen. Council of Action Figures, hello. I just have this image now of like the Council of Elrond, but in comic form, action figure form. And we're live for the May live stream. I'm actually just back from protest for Palestine, actually, for Rafah. So let's just see now. I'll post that. So I posted it on Threads. If you don't follow me on Threads yet, you can go and follow me there. Also on Blue Sky. It's where all the cool people hang out on Blue Sky. I'm joking. I'm not cool. Nor is anyone who hangs about on Blue Sky. But still. And I'll put it on my Facebook page. Facebook page. And there we go. Because I never know how to get the link before I go live. Publish original post, yes please. Post. I know I should have it jammed full of hashtags and stuff. But such is the way. And anywhere else? I should put it up on Instagram, I suppose. We'll do a posy pose of wait. There we go. Photo. Selfie mode. Not like giving away any like information. There we go. All has to be done. Let's see. So, Rich. Hello, Free Palestine. Trump did another oopsie. Trump did. Zero sympathy for him. What about you, Free Palestine PS? Trump is guilty. Bring in the dancing lobsters. Oh. We will talk about that. We can certainly talk about that. Let me just see now. No, I don't want to make a reel of my weird, awkward live posts. It's like, it's just a photo. Just make it a photo. There we go. And there we go. And then one last one is get that link again. And then share, add to story. Nearly there, nearly there. And there's this. Like, John, you look so old doing this. That's because I am old doing this. I'm like, what am I now? 35. Customize sticker text. Join us live. In fairness, I was never good at this end of things. But it has to be done. What I'm good at is chatting to you folks. Hello, folks. There we go. All that. I hate that stuff. Anybody want to be my social media manager? Please. So, there we go. Hi. Right. So, Windows XP Mapping 1. You are a long-time viewer, and I love you. Hello, John. Captain Misaki, hail and well met, Mr. Ruddy. Okay. Adam Pervez, John, you're amazing. Your videos have really helped me in history. That is why I do what I do. That I aim to help people with history, you know, in as simple a way as possible. My growing motto is, like I say it more and more and more, history is far too important to be boring. And so that's why I do what I do. If I can help people get to terms, because this is the thing, history affects us whether we like it or not, and history shapes our world, history shapes our lives whether we like it or not. So if you don't know about history, it's still shaping your life, you know, in the same way as if you don't know about physics, it's still shaping your life. But, you know, not knowing about physics, sure, that's one thing, but like history is something that is a lot more nuanced in the way of kind of like society and stuff. Anyway, so Council of Action Figures, you're from Ireland, awesome. Martian Cookie Hunter, sup John, sup Martian Cookie Hunter. Bonesaw McGraw is back in the chats, folks. I'm going to read this first, because remember you nearly had me read something a bit odd the last time. What are your thoughts on Trump gaining popularity among young and non-white voters? Okay. So this time again, I'll read it again in a Bonesaw McGraw voice. What are your thoughts on Trump gaining popularity among young and non-white voters? I think it is messed up. I think it's not great. And, oh, I don't have water. I have a little bit of water. It is, I'm going to be honest, it's worrying. I can kind of understand, well, I mean, I very much understand a lot of young people losing support and losing faith within Joe Biden, for example, particularly given his completely stupid stance on what's going on in Israel. You know, like just... I mean, I said this very, very early on in that conflict where I says, I am not interested in seeing Joe Biden, but I could totally see it. I could see Joe Biden losing the election and coming out and essentially blaming all of the young extremist student voters who didn't show up to the polls. Like, well, maybe if you stop backing the incessant bombing of Gaza, then maybe young people could help. Like, because this is the thing with Biden, there have been positive things within his presidency, which is such a shame given what he's going to be remembered for, because he's going to be remembered for probably losing to Trump. I get, you know, like in the exact same way as it was Hillary's to lose, you know. But again, she was deeply unlikable, so like that was a whole other thing. But like Joe Biden, nobody wanted you to run. Like, above and beyond the establishment who made sure that you won. Like, nobody wanted you to run. And I know it's not even my country, but hey, you know, we all live in one world, and it is a small world after all. Yeah, so all of that. But Trump gaining, I don't understand. Say young people seeing Trump and going, like, thinking he is exactly what we need. I mean, I can understand the mindset of the kind of troll agent of chaos. Ha 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 ha, let's see what'll happen. Like, I kind of get that. I think it's painfully childish. Excuse me. But I kind of get that. Like, I get some people just, you know, sniggering the way into the voting booth and thinking it's hilarious that they're gonna vote for this guy again, and that he's probably gonna bring about the end of the republic. I don't understand how you know, like, not non-white people could get behind him. I think it's very sad. I think it's I think that there has been a big support amongst the Latino community, and or a growing support, and I think some of that does come from like a historic wariness of extreme socialism. Like, you know, like a lot of people say, like in Florida, I think like the biggest population of Latinx people living in Florida are either migrants from Cuba, or, like, you know, descended of people who've come from Cuba, and like, you know, from their perspective, you know, they've seen the kind of the extreme ends of it. I mean, my opinion always with regards, you know, when people are like, oh well, look at any socialist countries that ever like got up and running, is that they, you know, they always like failed or like could barely survive. And it's like, that's because the CIA kept hamstringing them, you know. It's like every single time, you know, it's like someone builds a house of cards and the CIA just comes up and knocks the tables out. Well, look, I mean, that was bound to happen. It's like, yeah, but you didn't have to go and shake the table. So, I mean, I do kind of get the wariness of the kind of fear of the socialism boogeyman that has been fed to so many Americans for a century and more at this stage of the game. But if you think Trump is your answer, then like I'm having less and less patience for people who are like going, well, I'm just going to vote for Trump anyway. Because I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing this? Like, we all know what he's like. Like, this is the thing. I mean, like, there's the whole, you know, people watching this type of news, people watching that type of news. We all know what Trump is like. Everybody knows what Trump is like. You know, if you act as if you don't know what Trump is like, you're pretending. You know, either you're pretending or you just don't care. But if you just don't care, you're still pretending, because if you were to come out and like straight up say, oh yeah, no, he is a terrible, terrible, terrible man, you know, then it's like, well, why are you voting for him? Like, you know, it's like, oh no, he's great, he's gonna make America great again. And it's just like, so it's a very frustrating one. and it's a frustrating one to watch because much like what was it 8 years ago now, it was just, you know, you just kind of feel like you're almost a bit powerless to stop it, you know, or it's like what can anybody do? And I really don't like fatalism. I mean, I say the obvious answer, but you know, like the answer is, well, go vote for Biden, and it's like, but I could totally understand why someone would not vote for Biden, given him just blindly continuing to back Israeli massacring of Gaza, you know, and it's just like, well, like there is no red line, you know. It's talking about, you know, well, what, you know, what's too far, what's a step too far. It's like he's clearly demonstrated that he doesn't care. Like there is no step too far, because if there was a step too far, they crossed it a long time ago, you know, and yeah, like, I mean, I was just, so we were at a protest here in Letterkenny, where, so all across Ireland this evening, there were different groups who went to bridges, all, you know, so like different bridges across Ireland, and stood right across the bridge. No, like, we didn't block traffic or anything. Like, we were there, you know, just to generate support, and people coming past were honking their horns in support, and it was great. But you know, as we were kind of talking there, like, I was saying how frustrating it can be, as great as it is to see a growing support for like the whole All Eyes on Rafah movement and stuff, you know, like that's been great to see. But at the same time, where it's like, you know, I'm glad to see he's joining the party now, but like, it would have been nice 35,000 people ago, you know. And again, like, I don't like to be the kind of one to say I told you so, but it's like, we're all saying this literally days after October 7th, as which was horrendous, you know. Like, the fact that you constantly have to say that, like, it should go without saying it was a horrendous massacre of people. Like, you know, it's, oh, but do you condemn Hamas? It's like, yes, but I also condemn the indiscriminate bombing of people, if done by anybody, you know. Funny that. But like, we were literally at the start in October, we're like, this is going to be bad. Israel's about to do something very bad, and they did, and they're continuing to do. And it's kind of hard to know what's gonna happen in the near future and not so near future, because it's just like, I mean, America is gonna be a very interesting place by the end of this year. We'll see what way the election goes. Either way, I think there's going to be trouble. America's in a very precarious place. The rise of the far right has been palpable. Because this is the thing, is that people are struggling. You know, the average people are struggling. And they're looking for someone to blame. And generally, when that happens, if someone either doesn't know who to blame, or the person that is to blame, it just seems so out of possibility of taking it out on them, they'll take it out on someone else. You know, it's the reason why J.K. Rowling goes after trans people as opposed to the actual patriarchy, because just looks at the patriarch and go, well, I mean, I can't take down that system, especially given that it kind of benefits me now. But trans people, they're an easy target. Let's go for them. In a kind of a similar way, where it's like, look, we're all struggling here, and the actual reason that we're all struggling is because billionaires have stolen our wealth. They have stolen our data. You agreed to it when you clicked I agree on our terms of service. Yeah, sure, whatever. Spoilers, don't know if you know this, but almost everybody does not read those terms of service. Well, that's your fault. It's like, is it though? There's a real power imbalance there. But the billionaires have accumulated so much wealth. Since COVID, they have accumulated an insane amount of wealth. But even before that, they have just been slowly but surely accumulating so much wealth, squeezing the middle class, because the working class is already crushed. And even at that, I say middle class, because there's working class and there is scab class, who there's those who earn their money by working, either providing a service or making things or actually going and working. Or there's the people who make their money off dividends from an investment that that just sits there and stirs up money. And it's like, right, well, that's all well and good, but like, why do you deserve to have like billions and billions if it's well, I'm clearly working so hard. It's like, you cannot work like this whole thing, oh well, I work so hard. It's like, in order to accumulate billions and billions and billions of dollars, euro, whatever, pounds, you cannot work hard enough to accumulate that amount. You can't. It's physically impossible. So you're clearly exploiting it. It is being stolen. The inequality in this world is insane. And I know I haven't checked the comments in a wee while. I'll go check them now shortly. But the inequality in this world is just insane, and it is getting worse. And it is part of the reason why the youth are just feeling so abandoned by their elders. Because the kind of baby boomer generation just so happened to be in the very, very lucky position where they lived in pretty much what was economically the best, most egalitarian kind of time. And, for some people, at least if you were white. But like, generally speaking, if you were an adult growing up, or even the kind of the post-war generation, 1950s suburbia, but all throughout the 70s and 80s, the ability to buy a house on one income, was a possibility, and the potential of wealth accumulation that can come from that. And then, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's what everyone's striving for. But that has not been the status quo in a very, very long while. And people of my generation and younger, like, I'm lucky to have been able to buy a house. But that's partially because I bought a wreck of a house that I had to spend a year and a half doing up, while I literally lived in this shed here for a year and a half. But like, it's understandable where the youth just feel abandoned because their future has been stolen. And and I feel bad for younger generations. I also feel hopeful for younger generations, because I do see a lot of mobility there. I see a lot of young people who are really, with their ear to the ground, and like looking at all the student protests and stuff. Like, it is great to see, and they do seem to care, and it does remind me a lot of the Vietnam anti-war movements. Whether they'll grow up to become little Reaganites is a whole other question. But anyway, let's have a look at some of the comments. So I'll scroll back up here. So, Captain Misaki. I see history as largely one big Donnybrook, John. Oh, Donnybrook is in a fight. Yeah. Yeah. We don't use the term Donnybrook here in Ireland, because Donnybrook is literally a place. And I actually always find that kind of funny, because, like, Donnybrook is... so I assume it's used as a fight amongst Irish Americans, because, of course, the Irish are always fighting. But the ironic thing is, like, Donnybrook's a really fancy part of Dublin. Or, like, it's D4. It's a well-off area. It's down where RTE is, and like it's a nice part of Dublin, and it's like not really one that you would consider rough per se. It does always kind of feel funny when people are like, "Oh, at Donnybrook," it's like, what, you went for pints on a Sunday and watched the rugby, Is that what you talk about when you're having Donnybrook? Look, Armstrong Doyle. I'm doing my Leaving Cert history exam in about a week and a half. Pray for me, guys. Look, Armstrong Doyle. Good luck. Good luck. Here's a fun fact. I didn't do history for the Leaving Cert. Yeah, it's a bizarre one. I did not do history for the Leaving Cert. My junior cert history teacher had bored me to tears. Not Derek. Derek was good, but the other one had bored me to tears. So much so I remember literally on the morning we were learning about Bloody Sunday in Derry, it just so happened to be the 30th of January, the actual anniversary that it was on, and I pointed this out to him, and it's the 30th, 31st. And he was like, "Oh, yeah. Anyway," and I was like, "Dude, we're trying to make connections here, But yeah, no, it's very boring. So I refound my passion for history when I went to college, but more so like when so I trained as a primary school teacher, and so when I was out with kids and teaching history, I just discovered that I actually loved history, and kind of out of that was out of those initial lessons was where I started just really getting into my history. I'm gonna light a candle. I'm gonna light a nice chill candle. Like, we're copying a philosophy tube here. She always lights a candle. Does she still I haven't seen any of Abigail's live streams in a while. Although I'm delighted for Abigail. She is doing she's doing very well for herself. She is in Star Wars The Acolyte, which is really cool. See, so YouTubers can make it. We can make it. There's hope for us yet. Abigail Thorne is in Star Wars The Acolyte. So far my only claim to fame with Star Wars is getting... Oh, there we go. It's nice and chill. I mean, like, it's not going to be of any benefit to you because it's going to be here. It's not going to be on camera, but still, it's for me. I like it. But yeah, no, I think I told this story here before. But I played me and my best friend Niall McDonough played the rap party for Star Wars when they were in Donegal. It was hilarious. But anyway, let's see. Purple Blastoise says nuke Tel Aviv. No, that is not the solution for anything. That's not, just this thing of, well, can we just nuke the other side? Can we just wipe out the other side and say, ah, okay, cool. So let's meet one genocide with another genocide. Perfect. That's great thinking. That's not how it works. You know, that's not how it should be. Sadly, the solution to the broader problem is complicated and long and will require a lot of work. The short-term solution is kind of straightforward. Hey, Israel, stop bombing Rafah and start letting in aid trucks again. Enough aid trucks that they can actually help. It's kind of easy to do, actually. You know? Why does the world keep complaining about us? Because you're bombing people into non-existence. Like, what's so hard to get about? Oh, they're being anti-Semitic. This is my huge problem with the whole, oh, you're just being anti-Semitic, is that, like, there's a real kind of boy who cried wolf about it, in that there is actual anti-Semitism floating about and is really insidious and will begin to grow a lot more as, say, if Trump gets in, you know, like literally within months of him being elected, there was literally the rally in, where was it, in Louisiana or wherever it was. Oh, where was it? Basically the one where they all came out in with their tiki lamps shouting, Jews will not replace us. So, like, that's actual anti-Semitism. Like, that's actual, you know, we hate Jews no matter who they are. You know, what about Jared Kushner? Is that, I mean, he's doing our bidding, you know, and he's working on the process of getting all the Jews over there, over to Israel. We don't want them here. Get them over there, you know, because ultimately when they go over there, then that'll trigger the Armageddon, it'll trigger the apocalypse, and we all go to heaven because we're all, you know, on God's team, and nobody else is. According to them, it's like, guys, you do know that, like, that Muslims also believe in the same God, just in a slightly different way. Anyway, so yeah, Bradley, I'm rewatching your president video to learn president history. Well, I have plans to do an updated version of that. Not just, it won't just be a tagged on bit at the end with about Joe Biden, but I'm going to update, maybe not every single president, but I'll probably update some of them. Like, I want to do a little bit more detail, say, on the Bush-Gore debacle and the election, and like there's wee things like that. I want to mention Bill Clinton's part in the Northern Ireland peace process, because that was a big omission, particularly coming from me, that I did leave out. You know, I have a lot to say about Bill Clinton, but that is one thing I will hold him in high esteem for, is clonking the heads together and going, right guys, come on, let's talk about this. And they did, and that was good. So yeah, but the end of my previous video were like, you know, because everybody was really positive when Joe Biden was elected president. There's literally a video going around of like a compilation of street celebrations to the tune of the closing song of Return of the Jedi, where the Empire has been defeated, and it's like, oh, I mean, and I felt that, you know, I got that, but America needs to change so much more than that. It's the system. It's not the president. It's the entire system. But yeah, thanks, chap. You're welcome. I love Doctor Who as well. Yes. This is a kind of funny thing. I feel like a bit of a fake fan having this TARDIS behind me. I do love Doctor Who, but I have only actually seen bits of season 1, barely any of season 2, all of season 3 and season 4, and then tiny little sprinklings beyond that. But season 3 and season 4 I love so much. I mean, I love David Tennant, he's so good. You're like, well, why didn't you watch season 2 yet? I don't know. I haven't had time. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Matt Smith. I didn't like his vibe, and so I never could get into it. And yeah, I just never got back into it, which is a shame. And I know there's a lot of gold in there. And also, like, I was really excited for Jinx Monsoon to be in the new season. I saw a couple of clips of them in that. They look amazing. But I've just not had the time to catch up, and it just feels like an ever more daunting task to try and catch up on essentially the guts like 20 years of of TV show now. It's very intimidating, but you know, I have that TARDIS there because I do love Doctor Who, in that I love season 3 and 4 of Doctor Who and the sprinklings of season 1 that I have. I've seen probably most of season 1. I've seen probably almost all of season 1. I'm not sure how much I haven't seen, but I'm pretty sure I've seen almost all of it. And then season 2, just for whatever reason, like I said, I haven't seen David Tennant's first episode. I know bits and pieces of it. I know there's like a sword fight and a hand chopped off and a circle of life thing, but yeah, it's funny. So yeah, sometimes like when I have this, I kind of feel like I give away the false impression that I'm like this die-hard Doctor Who fan, and people are like, oh wow, you must be the biggest Doctor Who fan ever. It's like, no, it's because my toilet cubicle kind of looked like, with the paneled door, kind of looked like a TARDIS, and so I then decided to convert it properly into looking like a TARDIS, just so it was cooler. And I did a pretty good job of it, in fairness. I'm really pleased with it. Like, it turned out. Let's see. Let's just let the stream catch up so I can see where. Yeah. There we go. And I got like the little details. Yeah. I'm pretty pleased with it. So, Bomb X. Still love the way you say world. It's funny, I've actually got, not self-conscious in like a negative way, but I have gotten conscious of the way that I say world. And it is funny. Just world. And I think as well, just because I say it so much in my videos, particularly if I'm talking about World War One or World War Two, world. Because I think like in a lot of accents, you know, like a bit like in a lot of it, like North American accents, it would almost be like 2 syllable, like world. Technically, it's still 1 syllable, but like world. Like if it were down south, it'd be world. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, world war. It's not. Yeah, it's not English. It'd be world war. Yeah, a world war. Yeah. It's just world. It's a world. Or even like down in the West Country, it used to be world. That's quite similar to mine actually. Yeah, the World War. World. Oh yeah, that would be kind of similar to mine. Or up in Scotland they say world, the World War, World War. Oh, what's the one? Purple burglar alarm. Is a phrase apparently is really difficult to say in a Scottish accent. Like even like people who naturally speak in a Scottish accent struggle to say purple burglar alarm, purple burglar alarm, because where the R lands at the back of the throat, purple burglar alarm. Is just really awkward to say. So yeah, I ran in and there was this huge big purple burglar alarm on the wall. Anyway, so let's see. Council of Action Figures. I live history. It's my favorite subject. I assume that's love history, but hey, if you live history, that's great too. I mean, we all live history. Let's see, I got a 98 and a star. Go you, that's impressive. I love it. Adam Pervez, well, I'm a massive fan of yours. Thank you so much. That's very sweet. Martian Cookie Hunter, those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. Absolutely. Adam Pervez, message retracted. Very mysterious. Council of Figures, do more. Love Doctor Who. Oh, I'll watch it. And I love over 100 action figures of Doctor Who. Not joking. That's impressive. Also slightly obsessive, but I get it. I get it. Luke Armstrong. Let's go. Yeah. That Yugoslav fan. Hi, Yugoslav fan. How are you? I have to say, my favorite history teacher right now is one of my favorite teachers. Oh, sorry, I skipped a few. I actually managed to watch the entire. Oh, yeah, that actually brought me on to the next. It's a vote between kicking the ground or kicking the shin. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Sleepy Joe is too old for president. No offense. You're not wrong. Should have been Bernie. Should have been. Even though, ironically, I'm pretty sure Bernie's actually older than Sleepy Joe, but yeah. It should have been Bernie 8 years ago. That's what it should have been. Also, I don't like the way he proves he's Irish. Like he's not. He's American. Oh, but my mom's cousin's father, brother, stepson was Irish. I don't care. I mean, in fairness, I think Joe Biden's Irishness is a little bit more direct than a lot of kind of ones who kind of trace their heritage back. But still, if he wholeheartedly stands behind Israel the way he does, then he can bugger off with his Irishness. If he wants to come over here and be like, oh yeah, I'm Irish, oh, the Black and Tans. Well, the Black and Tans were sent to Palestine after they were done terrorizing us, so what are you going to do with that? Anyway, just say to people, do a video on the Great Potato Farm. I'm actually working on that. I have the pre-viz done on that, and yeah, no, that's definitely up there. Free Palestine, PS, and free Ukraine, absolutely both. I got 6 hours though, but I had to run to hospital before I could finish. Wow, was it that bad? You had to go to hospital? My goodness, I hope you're okay. Did anybody get through the 7-hour mega cut in one sitting? So that was a funny one to put together. Because it just started off just kind of going, oh, I wonder what this would be like. But then the deeper I got into it, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. This is actually really good. Just how videos interacted with each other. There was some really cool ones where saying the 1300s, where it says how a lot of European Christians began to come up with loopholes so that they were able to lend money with interest, so that Jews didn't have the monopoly on money lending in Europe over Christians, and and the way that they did that, actually, it was quite clever, was that they still didn't lend money with interest because that was sinful according to the whatever was Leviticus or whatever, the Bible. But so you lend them money, but you had to insure the loan. And that's where they made the profit on it. They didn't make the profit on the loan, they made the profit on the insurance of the loan. Yeah, it's quite clever. And the church were like, yeah, that's fair. But then, so that was in my Israel-Palestine video, kind of exploring a lot of Jewish history across Europe. But then, only months after that, you've got King Edward III of England defaulting on his loans and basically bankrupting a family in Florence. because they loaned him out a whole pile of money, and he was like, yeah, no, I can't pay that back. And so it's just kind of funny how, you know, you can see you get people starting to kind of get into the whole money lending thing, going, oh, this is difficult actually. That King of England won't pay his loans. Let's see. Sounds like some Bernie Sanders crybaby bullshit. What was? David Harper, tell me more. What was Bernie Sanders crybaby bullshit? Was I starting to make sense, David? Was I starting to make too much sense that you had to resort to calling me a crybaby? Oof. Such a shame. Sean, how likely is a Sinn Féin Fianna Fáil government, and what would you make of one? I do not want to see Fianna Fáil in government again next time. I'm sick of them. Now, I'll give this to Micheál Martin. I do have great respect for him, specifically for a lot of what he's been speaking about Palestine. He's been one of the few Western leaders who has spoken out against Israel, and in fairness, your man Simon Harris now has yeah, but I think Fianna Fáil just need to not be in power for a while, because I think people still need to remember that it was Fianna Fáil that tanked our I mean, fair enough, Fine Gael also like crippled our economy with austerity, but Fianna Fáil tanked our economy in the lead up to the Great Recession. You know, and that's why whenever like Bertie Ahern was starting to surface again, you know, starting to pave the way for, you know, maybe voting me in as president. It's like, no, Bertie, you bankrupted our country. You drove our country into the dirt. Feck off back into the dirt. You know? Like, and in fairness, he's not living in dirt. He's in his mansion somewhere. So, well, good for you, Bertie. He's living in his abandoned football stadium. Bertie Bowl. But yeah, I mean, I think Sinn Féin probably will get in, because they nearly got in last time. Although they have been dipping in the polls. But whatever happens, I just hope that the Irish people genuinely reject the far right. Like, I had this rubbish passed into me this morning. Obviously, now I added the Nazi uniform, but this is one of our local fascists, Niall McConnell. He tried running as a member of Parliament 4 years ago, whenever it was, 2020, I think it was when he ran originally. But them, their branding is even just so cheeky, you know, because they don't even have he's under as an independent party, or just as an independent. It's like, yeah, but you're running under essentially like it's an Irish nationalist party, but like they're far right fascist, you know, like in here complaining about, oh, Ireland is full. It's like Ireland's population has never been as big since 1845, so it's not full. Homelessness crisis, which absolutely is a real thing, but you know, of course, they blame immigrants for that. It's like, guys, maybe, you know, house the Irish first. It's like, no, like, let's house everybody. Let's sort out the problem. No farmers, no food. And again, support for Irish farmers. But there's a lot of bother there that we need to sort out. Letterkenny Hospital is bursting at the seams. I agree. And you see, and this is how these types of lads work, you know, where they're like, oh yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, 70% of the Irish population aren't entitled to a medical card. Yeah, see, and look at this now. yet foreigners get a free medical card on arrival, paid for by you, the Irish taxpayer. Right, well, I think that more people should be entitled to medical cards. But again, like, you're blaming the wrong people. Like, you know, you're sitting there going, oh, but it's the foreigners coming in. It's like, we have plenty of room for a lot of people. You know, bring our Irish children home, because our Irish people have had to move abroad. And yes, I mean, like, one thing if you've packed up and left of your own volition and decided to go and work wherever and see the world and live across it. I've so many cousins living in all parts of America and England and Canada and Australia and where at, you know, but and partially because Ireland sometimes hasn't been the best place for you know, to grow economically or whatnot. But sometimes it's just nice to go and get away for a while and come back later when you're ready to settle down and have a family. But, like, you know, bring our Irish children home. Like, it just there's a lot of emotions in this, you know, for a group who's always kind of complaining about the left, you know, dealing with emotions and not dealing with facts. There's a lot of emotions in this. How's the Irish first? You know, and they've got this, like, white family, and then horde of asylum seekers. 87% of asylum seekers arriving at Dublin airport have no passports or present fake documentation. What are they hiding? Like, maybe they've, like, literally fled a war zone and their passport was, like, blown up. I don't know. What are they hiding? I don't know. Niall, what are you hiding? You know, you went over to America and got, like, radicalized by a whole pile of far right dudes. What are you hiding, huh? You know, maybe you would be more comfortable in something like this. Obviously, again, I added the Nazi uniform, but you know, and originally it was Ireland is full, but I was like, no, Niall is full. You know, people of Ireland reject fascism. This guy's a clown. And then he's got the truth about Sinn Féin. He's got Mary Lou and what's her name? O'Neill in hijabs. Oh, they're secret Muslims. They're gonna Muslimify the whole world. Oh my God! Like, lad, get a grip, would you? That poor dog. Poor dog. I hope that dog's all right. Anyway, Adam Zaki, didn't mean to offend. Fair enough. That's fair. I watched part of it, gave it a like. Thanks, Emil. There were only a few subjects in the insane asylum I call high school that I enjoyed. History was one of them. There you go. Yeah, I have to say my history teacher right now is one of my favorite teachers. Oh, that's great to hear, Luke. That's great. So, hi, Mr. Ruddy. Nice to see you and love your videos. They've helped a lot of times and have for my leaving cert in a few days. DT. Best of luck. You're one of the good ones. Thank you so much. Bonesaw McGraw is back. You missed a jumbo-sized fact. You missed a jumbo-sized fact about LBJ in your president's video. Oh, tell me more. Which one is that? That he secretly fought Bonesaw McGraw? Ali one strikes back. Reading and writing is where I shined. Not gonna lie, I finished a first draft comic book. Oh, nice. You remember school Rosheni in Donegal? Oh, I do. Hey there from you. Shout out to Rosheni. Love the Captain America shield, dude. Oh, is that in my background? Where is it? Oh yeah, it's there. I was like, where is it? It's on my wall. It's over there. Because for ages it used to be up there, but then I changed about some of my shelves. Let's see. Oh, hi Nikita. You should update your World War Two. There you go. That was for you. You should update your World War Two episode. I mentioned Japanese war crimes as you neglect. Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. So as I said this at the end of my 7-hour mega cut video, but basically, I do want to do a new World War One and World War Two video, like basically rewrite them, because I initially, fair enough, like I added those wee like 10 more things about World War One and 10 more things about World War Two, but they just, they added little things, but in the 10 years, because it was 10 years ago that I wrote those initial videos, and I have learned so much more about those topics since then. I have such a better understanding over so much of that stuff now than I did 10 years ago, because that's the thing, we're always learning, we're always progressing. So I would really, really love to go back and completely almost start from scratch. I think I would probably actually have to start from scratch, which is fine, because like most of the knowledge is in there, which is great. I just get it out. I mean, by the time I get to those, probably wouldn't be till next year anyway, because before the end of this year, I have a project that I'm working for the Errigal Arts Festival. It's called Fido Fido. You can watch the first 2 films. They're on my YouTube already, but I'm working on the 3rd year of that. I'll be working on that up until mid-July. And then from there, I will be working on a video about the famine in Ireland. And then Monarchs of England Part 5? Part 5? Wars of the Roses. And before the end of the year, I will have at least started work on my extended Presidents of America video. One thing that I absolutely want to do in that video is redesign Thomas Jefferson. Oh, it is one of the designs I hate so much. There were a couple of videos where I got a really good design of him, but then the one that I ended up settling with in the actual President's video, I hate so much. I got the hair so bad. It's like body so tall and long. I just hate it. I hate it. So I need to go back and change that anyway. But I also need to do a whole pile of stuff, just to sort it out a bit more. Let's see. Everything about going. I'm going to listen to a marathon on my next work day, which is about 9 hours. Oh, nice. That'd be good. But yeah, no, just going back to that initial thing from the sponge. Yes, I very much neglected the war in the Pacific entirely, because like that's the thing too, when people talk about World War II, they always kind of talk about, it started in 1939, or some people even kind of push back to, it started in 1938. It's like Japan were already well on their way of like conquering Manchuria, or they'd already conquered it at that point. Like how is that not deemed as the start of World War II? Some could argue, some could argue that, say, if World War II or World War III were to break out, say in a couple of years' time, then some would be like, well, what about the conflict that was happening in Israel? What about the war in Ukraine? It's like, does that not count as the start? So, all of these things that trickle down into the beginnings of these things, who's to know? It is also frustrating, though, to see some of those messages that I was telling people 10 years ago going, pay attention, stop looking to one man to, strong man to solve all your problems. Like, I was saying that 10 years ago. Like, I was saying that before Trump was coming to power. And then like, it kind of reiterated it very much kind of with Trump in mind. But, like, initially, I was full on saying that. So it's so frustrating. Where it's just like, this is what we learn about history, guys. ever think about going to a Fianna Fáil rally and just letting them have it with tomatoes? No. Because I don't think I believe in that kind of... let's see. That's a good idea, actually. I won't be voting for Sinn Féin after not going against Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Greens in the referendum. Yeah, I mean, that referendum was the most non-event of a thing. The jumbo size facts is that LBJ had a job. Yeah, as many people saw, apparently, because he was very well known for, like, just full on going into the loo and going in front of people and just continuing talking with them. Like, as a whole power play, he was not a nice guy. You know, and like by today's standards, that's a serious violation, a serious, you know, Me Too moment. So, like, yeah, not a good idea. Like, I think there were some like phone conversations where like he'd be full on like kind of talking, go, oh yeah, not to my hand right now, and it's like, no. Oh dear, Johnson, put your Johnson away. That's my opinion, though. Okay, clearly he hasn't heard the recording of LBJ, especially tallied. Yeah, well, I have. There you go. Hey, sir, great work. Huge fan from India. Won't be around much longer because time zone. Keep making such amazing animations. Thank you so much, Proudnav H. Thank you so much. Doing my leaving in a few weeks, and your videos are a godsend. Thanks for all the amazing work, Jack TBJ. Best of luck in the exams. You can do it. Next time I have a live stream, it'll all be over. So, in case you haven't kind of worked that out, I'm aiming to have a live stream the last Friday of every month, in and around 6:30. I was a little bit late to it today because we had a Palestine protest. Best luck with your we're in the struggle together. Yeah. Sponge, redraw Trump as his actual height because he always lies about it. What height is he actually? Remember he said he was 6'3". Let's see. What height is Trump? 1.9 meters. What's that in old money? 6'3", apparently. According to Google, obviously, you know, if he consistently lies about it, then that could well be something to shape what Google says. So, I mean, in fairness, he does look pretty tall when he's up beside people, and he is a very domineering person. So, like, it wouldn't surprise me if he was 6'3". I actually showed all I know is his hands are tiny. I showed my mother your video on presidents. She really liked it, even though she doesn't know about history. Well, I mean, I aim for my videos to hopefully be accessible to people who aren't into history, as well. Because, again, history shouldn't just be for history nerds like us. We're all history nerds here. We're on a live stream with a history YouTuber on a Friday evening. We're history nerds here. Okay, John, don't die of laughing at yourself. Especially since Japan still denies Nanking and other massacres to this day. Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing. I think Japan historically have gotten off very lightly with regards kind of the public perception of them. Like, you know, people don't like say with Germany, for example, like people, particularly Brits and Americans, tend to, you know, love to remind them that they were the Nazis in World War II. And, you know, there's ha ha ha, oh, be careful, oh, they might go crazy, because they're German, and it's like, guys, Germany now I know they're going through a bit of an episode right now. But Germany have had a long process of coming to terms with what they did, which is could there's a lot more could be said about what Britain and America has or hasn't done with regards to coming to terms with what it has done throughout its history. At least Germany has. Whereas, yeah, Japan kind of went down the kawaii route of, hey, look, we invented Hello Kitty. We're so cute. And kind of created this, like, just image of kind of harmlessness. And kind of this image of kind of passivity and harmlessness that kind of stuck. And so they're like, we're really good with technology. And that's it. It's fine. And we really like anime and manga. Okay. Just don't ask us about Nanking. So, but yeah, no, I think, like, not that they need to be, like, held to account by today's standards, but it is important to acknowledge what your country has done in the past as well. Actually, would you ever make a video on the history of medicine? It was a topic we covered back in high school, and I would have loved a video from you covering it at the time. Oh, that'd be an interesting one. It'd be very broad. And I'd have to do a lot of research. I'd have to do a lot of, like, extra searching into it, because I mean, you'll have your classic kind of Western medicine narrative of, oh well, this is when white Europeans discovered this, where it's like, okay, but they were doing that in China for like 2 millennia before that, but sure, you guys discovered it, well done. But yeah, no, that would certainly be a really cool thing to explore. I love Fridays. Fridays are great. Do you think Canada, Australia, and New Zealand mistreatment of Indigenous people is overshadowed by the US treatment of its natives? I think I would say Canada, New Zealand often. I think Australia has a bit more of a reputation of, being known for its mistreatment of its Indigenous people. Whereas I think Canada and New Zealand, again, kind of like what I was kind of saying about Japan, where they kind of have a national image of kind of harmlessness. It's like, oh well, we're down here in New Zealand, it's fine. We're gonna make some Lord of the Rings movies, and yeah, it's got a beautiful landscape, and it's fine. Obviously, that's not what they're. Not just what they do, but like, I'm literally going for the stereotypes here, and like literally, the Canadian stereotype is, sorry there, buddy. My wife's Canadian, by the way, but that is not to detract what Canadians did to their, and continue to do to their Indigenous populations, because like their Indigenous populations are still mistreated, are still discriminated against, are like, it's better than it was, but there is still a lot of institutional problems that there's no kind of quick and easy way out of it, but it also doesn't say, oh well, it's just the way they are. Like, there's huge social problems, huge alcoholism problems, but such comes from a long history of excuse me, oppression, and similar in New Zealand, like, there is a long history of the Maori culture being oppressed, and being, I think, what was it? Oh, someone was telling me. My friend lived down there for a couple of years. There was kind of a treaty, I think, where it was like a what's the word? misinterpretation where in one language it was like promising one thing, but in the other language it was promising something else. So like it was kept literally lost in translation. And you know, and then the colonial violence. Although at least in the likes of New Zealand, at least the vibe that you tend to get is there does seem to be a bit more of a thing towards, you know, the indigenous names, the indigenous culture. You know, like it's much more integrated into New Zealand life. It's a shame that they didn't go back to their original name. I think there was a plebiscite or a referendum about going back. Is it Aotearoa? Aotearoa? Oh, I'm butchering that. I know it's Ao something. Aotearoa. There we go. Aotearoa. Because what does it have to do with Zealand? That's in like Denmark. So yeah. But no, I think Canada and New Zealand often get off a wee bit later with what they did, but I think it's also partially because Canada and New Zealand have at least gone into the present and the future acknowledging what they did. You know, like very, very often, it's quite a common thing, particularly in Canada, where, you know, they'll start off a big official thing and they're like, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge that we're all on stolen land. Which is like, cool, are you going to give it back? Nope. At least we're acknowledging it. Let's see. It's important to forgive and move on from what countries have done in the past, in my opinion. Basically, every country in the world has committed horrific atrocities. We need to move forward. I do agree with the general kind of statement of that. I do think it is important to move forward. I do think it's important to be able to move on and to grow together. But there's a difference between moving on and just not talking about it. You know, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like, it's grief. I mean, it is trauma. You know, like if there are oppressed people, there is trauma there. There is either direct trauma to what's being done to them, or generational trauma over what's been done to them. You know, as I say, in the same way as like people in Ireland are still sensitive about the famine, even though it didn't happen to any of us. But the fact that so much of our historical story, and indeed not too far back in our family trees, very, very horrendous moment in our history. So it's important for proper acknowledgement and proper moving forward. So, like, for example, one of the big ones, say in America, would be reparations for the descendants of enslaved people, which is a big point. One that was very interestingly explored in the Watchmen TV series, which I thought was very good, where they actually did get it in the 1980s, brought in by President Robert Redford, which I thought was very funny. But basically, yeah, the idea that that reparations for American slavery could help in bringing people out of poverty, in paying for the generations of trauma, generations of pain, generations of enslavement and torture and dehumanization that people went through. But no, that's too complicated, and they'll only get lazy, and they won't work anymore, and any excuse, like any excuse, and it's like, but that's in the past. Let's move on. So like that's kind of what I mean with regards. You know, it's like if I come up and slap you in the face, you know, and then just go, oh well, that's in the past now. Let's just move on. You know, it's like no, that's not how it works. If I were to come up and punch you in the gut, and then just instantly go, it's in the past now. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's done. Let's all just move on. You know, it's like, hold on, you punched me in the gut. We need to at least acknowledge this before moving on. So, you know, it is more complicated than that. But I do agree that ultimately, you know, we need to move forward. Because we all need to work together because climate change is kind of killing all of us. I'll get to the bottom of these and then we'll finish off for the day, I think. But Japan has never acknowledged their atrocities at all since World War II. Well, there you go. I will look more into that topic for that video. And that's wrong. They need to acknowledge their past. Every country does. Yeah, exactly. In the exact same way as, say, like in Ireland, for example, sometimes like when people talk about when Oliver Cromwell came over, some people just kind of like to be like, oh well, he was anti-Catholic and came over and killed all the Catholics. It's like, I mean, there was an armed uprising in 1641 where a lot of Protestant planters in Ulster were massacred. You know, like, weren't innocent in that. But, like, that's not to justify what Cromwell did. And also, that is why, back in October, when those tweets were going around about the feathered-headed, the decapitated babies that never seemed to actually be a thing, that I shared propaganda illustrations of that rebellion from that time, where England spread a whole pile of illustrations of like people on pitchforks and stuff over fires, and they're like, look at these barbarians in Ireland, we need to go sort them out. Joy. So let's see. Love you, John. Gotta go. Have a good day. BumX, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. Of course, wasn't trying to say not to talk about it if it's very important to acknowledge a country's past, so that it never happens again. Exactly, absolutely. What are your thoughts on giving the descendants of former slaves tribal citizenship? Many tribes that fought for the Confederacy signed peace treaties with the United States. Let's see, what are your thoughts on giving descendants of former slaves tribal citizenship? Many tribes that fought for the Confederacy signed peace treaties with the United States. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about that. Now, what I do know there is that it often kind of frustrates me. It's like, lads, why did you pick that side? But yes, the Indian territories in where is now Oklahoma did side with the Confederacy because I think they were into a bit of in slavery as well. Guys, read the room. But yeah, so they lost, and so yeah, but I don't know. I wouldn't know the nuances of that though, of descendants of former slaves gaining tribal citizenship. I don't know. That'd be interesting though. Why can't both pay for what they did? Well, it all depends. I'm probably going to draw, yeah. Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. And Moneyman, hello from Dublin. Hi, Ryan. Hello, Dublin. I feel like I'm in the Eurovision. Hello, Dublin. This is John in Letterkenny. Can you hear me? Yes. 12 points for Ireland. Yay. Anyway, John just had an out-of-body experience there. On that wonderful note, hold on, actually, did I have anything else to add before? Oh yeah, I want to show you this. This was... Oh, sorry if that scraped against the microphone. That might have been loud. This is a wonderful... I showed you a whole pile of other fan art, but I didn't show you this one. I love this one. They even got my Winnipeg Jets jersey in it and my lanyard that said... one of the students did this. Kyle Patton, good man. Did this of me, and I was in given a history workshop, and he was drawing this. And it was funny because like I think one of the teachers was like, "Oh no, stop drawing," but I was like, I know for myself sometimes when I'm listening to something, I actually like drawing, and it helps me listen to it better. Like usually whenever I'm drawing these videos, I'll have loads of podcasts or YouTube videos on, listening to them while I'm drawing, because I just find that I remember it better. So I was kind of like, while he's drawing me, he's probably listening to me too. And I was also, it was really good, and I think it's hilarious. It's class. So thank you, Kyle Patton, for this wonderful portrait. Also, one kind of last thing. What was? Oh yeah, because I did that when I was in college. When I was in college, I was in early childhood intellectual development, and our lecturer was a wonderful man named Hugh Gash, and I drew portraits of him every day, every lecture. And at the end of the semester, I put them all together in a collage and gave it to him. And he was very understanding. He was like, "Oh wow, that's so sweet. No one's ever done that before." And I was kind of like, I would kind of hope that that no one ever has, because it's very weird. But hey, I'm weird. John has become Borat. Oh God. Very nice. Ugh. That I think that whole joke has aged particularly strangely and badly and poorly. Like I was certainly one of those 17-year-olds when it came out. I was like, this is comedy genius. So much so, dude is still up there on my ceiling. You know, like, and also a South Park up there too. But like, kind of part of is just there above the window. So a lot of these posters are like posters I had up in my room when I was like teenager, in college, and so a lot of those kind of were the things that I was into at the time. But it is interesting kind of having them all laid out, because I'm like, you can see a lot of things that kind of have influenced me over the years, and it's actually kind of cool to just kind of look up and explore and go, oh yeah, that was in my brain. It's cool. Anyway, so, oh, by the way, I'm probably gonna post the art in Discord. Oh cool, I need to go and check out the Discord. That would be cool. And Ryan, thoughts on when the Irish government, Fine Gael, tried to commemorate the Black and Tans? When did they do that? Was that like when they were like just commemorating everybody who died in the Irish War of Independence? I mean, like when it's that long ago, like in the exact same way, like earlier today, because today is the anniversary of the Battle of Jutland, the big navy battle between Britain and Germany, and someone, you know, commented going, you know, oh, God rest all of the British sailors who died in that battle. And I was like, and the Germans, like, you know, it's like, it's far enough in the past now. I think that it's kind of like, I mean, even, you know, I wouldn't necessarily be putting their names on a plaque or anything, but sure, they're all dead now anyway. But I would also, understand if people would not like that. You know. So let's see. As a teen, I found Little Britain to be the funniest thing ever. How things have changed in less than 10 years. Very true. In fact, there was another show that they did, Come Fly With Me, which, when I watched it, it was hilarious. Like, I was in stitches. But, like, it literally had, like, blackface and yellow face and all sorts of face. And it was just so... and, like, this was 2000s. You know? Like, it was... but you know, back when people were saying, "Oh, it's politically correctness has gone too far," and it's like, dude, this is literally what's on TV right now. Yeah, Little Britain has not aged well. There are still a couple of good moments in it, and in fairness, there is one character that still very much kind of lives with me because it's that archetype still exists. Is the computer says no. Yeah. Computer says no. Oh, I hate that. You know, like, literally, there's some people like that who are just like, no. And it's, yeah, but can you do it this way? No, that's not the way that we do that. It's like, yeah, but if you put it in like that, then it... No. It's just like, fine. So yeah, no, I still relate a lot to that one, but yeah, a lot of Little Britain has not aged well. In fairness, comedy is almost always the first thing to age poorly. Is age very poorly. There are a few things in comedy that, or even in comedy that does age well. It's sometimes even worse because then occasionally, you know, you're like, ha, and then you'll get a joke. Oh, that hits you really hard. Like in Bill and Ted, for example. Like, Bill and Ted, I think, for the most part, has aged pretty well. I mean, there was a lot of it was kind of risque humor even then anyway. But then you get the homophobic stuff, and you're just like, lads, come on. You know? Yeah, like, you know, there's different ones like that where... Or even actually, Faulty Towers. I love Faulty Towers. Still do. It's such a shame what has happened to John Cleese. Oh, it's like, dude, just sit down and shut up. like nobody's trying to cancel you. You're on a documentary series talking about how nobody lets you speak anymore. You know, just because people disagree with you doesn't mean... You've been cancelled, John. And it's funny because, like, you go back and watch him on the TV show where, I think it was like Parkinson, where him, you had him and, what do you call him? Michael Palin. Two of them were on with, like, the Archbishop of Canterbury. This was when Life of Brian came out, and like the Archbishop of Canterbury was like full on talking. It's like, well, this is blasphemy and all this kind of stuff, and they're like, a couple of 100 years ago we would have been burned at the stake for this. I assume we've moved on since then, you know, and like it's really good, and like even by today's standards, it's very, very good. But it's like. But, like, people's tastes move on and society moves on. And sometimes, you know, society can decide, actually, maybe it's not such a funny thing to joke about certain people or certain things or to do a certain voice or to do a certain thing. Like for ages and ages, I loved the episode of the Germans in Faulty Towers, you know, where he gets hit in the head and ends up, you know, the whole... Don't mention the war. Basically, there's a couple of German guests coming to stay at the hotel of Fawlty Towers, and they're all like, "Oh, the Germans!" You know, it's like this is the 1970s. You know, so this is like what 30 years after World War II. So it's all at least within living memory of all of them, but it's all, you know, oh, don't mention the war, don't mention the war. But of course, he ultimately ends up doing the whole. He ends up like full on doing a Hitler impression, and he's like, you know, will you please stop talking about the war? It's like, well, you started it. No, we didn't. Yes, you did. You invaded Poland, which, yeah, it's funny. I used to find it funnier, but I think upon growing up a little bit, but also just kind of maturing in my understanding of history and understanding of kind of how different countries have dealt with their trauma. I find that, yeah, it's just not as funny anymore. And John Cleese be like, "Oh, you're cancelling my humor." It's like, well, no, it just doesn't tickle me in the same way. Oh, are you saying that society has changed you? It's like, well, yeah, society changes. Things don't stay the same. They never do. You know, in the same way as when Monty Python showed up, they stirred up everything and pushed the bar forward. You know, and in the same way as today, people have continued to push the bar forward, just not in the same ways as used did. You know, push the bar forward and thinking about other people and thinking about, you know, who is this joke aimed at? And like in that example, it's like, haha, it's funny because the Germans did invade Poland. Well, in fairness to that episode, the whole joke is because the Germans who arrive are totally normal people, and they're totally sound, and they're totally nice, and they're, you know, very chill, and it's Basil Fawlty who is obsessed with, oh, don't mention the war, and he can't help but mention the war. So I suppose, excuse me, it is making fun of that person who just can't help but mention the war. But it's kind of like, right, that's all well and good, but it's kind of like what John Cleese has become. He's the guy who just can't help but make the joke about that thing, and you need to laugh at it because I have dared made the joke about it. It's like, but no. And like in that episode, like you're laughing at it, but at the same time, like there's literally one of the women who is crying. You know, she's in tears because he keeps bringing up the war. And he's like, and the other guy is like, will you please stop talking about the war? Because it was a traumatic experience. Anyway, hashtag John cancels Fawlty Towers. I have the complete collection on DVD over there. Let's see. As a teen, yeah. Did you draw? There we go. Yeah, Michael Plezze asks, did the Draw Your Own Pokedex series die? So I have not addressed this directly on my channel, but very short answer, yes. Slightly longer answer, it is on hiatus. Medium length answer, actually no, this is probably the longest answer. Basically, I started off doing it in the hope that it would be something that I could kind of quickly produce in the meantime while working on Manny Mando's history. But I soon discovered that each episode took about 5 hours to produce. 5 or 6 hours to produce. And so my wife finished her maternity leave in February. So since then we have been tag teaming it with regards to childcare. So basically for the guts of half the week I'm with my son. And so that basically halves the time that I have to work on my projects. And where I was hoping that if Draw Your Own Pokedex kind of would have taken off more, then I would, you know, quite happily kind of continue on with it, but it just didn't take off. Which is fair. But it's just not worth taking time away from Many Man Does History to like for let's just see what kind of numbers they have done. Excuse me. Which is nice, like over 1 million views in the first 5. I was like, oh, maybe I should. Let's see. Yeah. So the first episode has 928 views, and Charmander 324 views, and Squirtle 417 views. Pikachu 563. So the Pikachu episode didn't get more than the first episode. So, and then the Legendary Birds 434, Ho-Oh and Lugia 333, Magikarp Gyarados 430, Caterpie 519. Whereas Israel Palestine is on 88,000. So, even though that did take a lot longer to make, and the 7-hour Megacut is on 2,300, and that's been up 4 days. I wasn't expecting that one to be like a massive number cruncher anyway, because it's a 7-hour odyssey, but still it was kind of something. So yeah, that has been the crack with how draw your own Pokedex. It's a shame because I was enjoying it, but it was, although I have considered about maybe doing something parallel to that, in that I draw history stuff, you know, if people are interested in that, you know, either drawing historical armor and stuff, that might be cool. But we just have to wait and see. But yeah, for now though, draw your own Pokedex is on hiatus, and put to sleep for now. It might wake up again. Like if some of the views go mad and start taking off, happy days, I'll do that, but probably not. Although I do have a video about The Hobbit over on my other channel that I might post up on this channel, just to give it a few more views, and because yeah, we'll see. Anyway, Martian Cougar Hunter. South Park is my favorite show. Love me some South Park. I assume you're in your late teens, early 20s. And that's fine. That is, you know, in the exact same way as Star Wars is made for 12-year-olds, South Park is made for teenagers and guys in their early 20s. Yeah, and I dug it. I loved it when I was in my teens and early 20s, but I did grow out of it. But I do have some fond memories. They can sometimes be a little bit too scattershot in their shots that they take. They're like, it's funny because we mock everybody, and you're like, yeah, that's fine, but like, you know, it undermines some of the points that you sometimes do make. So, and also there have been some many unfortunate choices that they have made, but it's an irreverent adult cartoon. Of course, there are going to be those things. Let's see, Bones McGraw, what are your thoughts on scientists trying to bring back extinct species? Do you think future generations will look back at this positively? It depends on the type of species. So, say like with mammoths, for example, bringing back woolly mammoths. I don't think I'm completely against it, per se. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of the ethics of it, but I mean, if people are happy enough to go by all of the mad friggin' unhealthy dog breeds that are out there, then, you know, genetically engineering a woolly mammoth from an elephant embryo, who's to know? I'd be intrigued. I would be intrigued to see something like that. I I'd be intrigued to see if, you know, if they would indeed continue to live across Siberia. I don't know. It would be interesting to see, like, particularly if it was something that could be, if there were animals that were wiped out due to us, that if we could somehow restore them, that would be amazing. But as for, like, you know, dinosaurs and stuff, no. They've had their also, that's impossible. We can't do a mosquito amber DNA extraction. Doesn't work like that. But you know, dinosaurs had their shot, where nature selected them for extinction. But they weren't wiped out by by the building of a dam or deforestation. I love that film so much. Before your scientists even knew what they had, they patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and you want to sell it. You want to sell it. Love Jurassic Park. I got that video for my 6th birthday. Love it. Let's see. There's 6 movies that explain why that was a bad idea. Oh yeah, exactly. Slapstick comedy is really the only comedy to remain timeless. In my opinion, stuff like Buster Keaton, Three Stooges, yet Tom and Jerry, and old Looney Tunes remain timeless and hilarious even today. Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Slapstick, for the most part. I mean, the basis of slapstick, you know, someone getting slapped, like, yes, but I mean, they are also the examples that have stood the test of time, because there's a whole pile of stuff from the 20s and 30s that have not made their way into nowadays, and a lot of that was slapstick too, like a lot of minstrel stuff, a lot of black, really racist stuff didn't make its way in. Obviously, you know, you'd be like, well, that technically the slapstick humor wasn't, you know, the thing that made it age badly. That's true. But yeah, funnily enough, actually, that has often been my level of violence indicator in my Manny Man videos, is itchy and scratchy. Has always been my kind of line of, is this image too graphic for my Manny Man video? You know, because like sometimes, you know, there'll be people getting shot, or sometimes people getting their heads chopped off or whatever. And I'd be like looking at it going, is this too violent for YouTube? Is this too violent for what I'm doing? And usually what the test that I'll do is like, would this seem too much for itchy and scratchy? And if it's not too much for itchy and scratchy, I'll keep it in. Occasionally, there are very few, but there's one specifically I remember, and I actually shared the original illustration of it on Patreon, actually, just to kind of show people. But it was just so violent. It was during the Irish Civil War, and it was one guy who'd like just captured another guy and strapped him to a chair and beaten the living crap out of him. And the guy was all bloody and beaten and swollen and black eyes and dripping, and it was gross. Like, and I got to the end of it, of drawing it and coloring it, and going, oh, that's rough. And then ultimately what I ended up doing, I just did a silhouette of it, you know. So like the image stayed in, but it was just a black silhouette, which actually was more evocative. But you know, but no, it was one of those ones. Actually, there was another one in my original World War II video. I did actually, there is an illustration. I never scanned it in, so it doesn't even exist digitally. But there was an illustration of Hitler and Eva Braun on the couch together in the Führer bunker after the shots fired, and it was based on accounts of what was found, you know. But having drawn it, I was like, this is this is I don't like this. It was like, this is too much. This is gratuitous. And the final image that I ended up doing was just the bunker door with the guard outside and just a boom, bang, and then the guy's like, "Mein Führer," you know, and it worked far better. It was again much more evocative, and a little bit silly because you know, Hitler, you know, you're not gonna get much dignity in death. Oh, hello, long time no see, Mr. Nigel Trump. Oh, hello, Nigel. How's life? Life is great, Nigel. Completely understandable about the Pokédex series. It's a shame it didn't take off. I found them really enjoyable and nostalgic. I know, me too. It was fun kind of diving into the old nostalgia train, but alas, tell that to the YouTube algorithm gods. Let's see, just started. Sweet. Oh, I don't think it just started. We've been at this now, Dartmaster, for an hour and 45 minutes, so nearly ready to finish, actually, but whatever. Martian Cookie Hunter. Jurassic Park is one of my all-time favorite movies. It single-handedly got me interested in prehistoric wildlife. I even, unironically, like most of the sequels, not Dominion or Fallen Kingdom. Yeah. So, Jurassic Park, practically perfect film. I love it so much. If you haven't already, the episode on Netflix of the movies that made us, the episode about Jurassic Park, is brilliant. Watch it. The Lost World has some very good bits in it, and also Jeff Goldblum is great in it. So, but it is, even as a kid, I thought the bit where they like went to San Diego at the end and the T-Rex going around the city was a bit silly. Also, the bit that always annoyed me was the severed hand in the ship, where it was like, why is there a hand clinging to the wheel? According to the novelization, and I think there might have been a deleted scene, but basically a couple of velociraptors got on board too and killed the crew. But it's like, it was just this huge big kind of plot hole. As a kid, I always imagined that, like, what did like the T-Rex like somehow reach up out of the door, eat this guy, and then like fall asleep again? I don't know. But yeah, and then Jurassic Park 3, when it first came out, I was so excited, but again, I was like 12 or 11 or 12, so I was just like, this is amazing. Yeah, I've since come up with other opinions on it. I still love all the raptor stuff in it, and I do find that I think some of the raptor scenes in the first 3 films did kind of build pretty well. And then Jurassic World, I liked, partially because of the nostalgia bit of it all. But it was cool seeing the park up and running. And it was cool seeing like the river cruise and like things that they were talking about at that, you know, preview board meeting, that this is what it will ultimately look like. So it was cool seeing that. And, you know, it was a nice wee attention to detail. And I didn't even mind Bryce Dallas Howard running in those heels as much as other people did. But as that series went on, I mean, Fallen Kingdom was just... Oh, it was a shame. When I went to see Fallen Kingdom, I missed the first 10 minutes of it because I was late getting into it in the cinema. And as it turned out, it was the best 10 minutes of the whole bloody movie. Because I then went and watched it later, and I was like, that would have been cool. But, and then that last film was just rubbish. Rubbish. Dodson, we got Dodson here. Who knew Dodson would come back? So stupid. Anyway, that's my brief hot take on Jurassic Park. I love Lost World, yeah, but it has problems. I love the scene in the long grass, though. Velociraptors in the long grass, still terrifying. So good. Like that high shot looking down, where you see the velociraptors coming in, closing in around them. Oh, it's terrifying. It's so good. You know, so it does have its moments. Jurassic Park 3, I like mostly for the Spinosaurus. Thanks to that movie, it became my favorite dinosaur. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I just never found the Spinosaurus as... I always found the Spinosaurus was a bit too dehumanized isn't the right word, but like the T-Rex in the other movies, like, it had a personality. I just found the Spinosaurus didn't have personality. Like, it just felt like this big, unstoppable predator that was just hunting them down. Like, it felt like a Terminator, you know? Whereas, like, the T-Rex felt like a force of nature, you know? And they even expanded on that in The Lost World, you know, with the chasing after it's the baby T-Rex, you know? So, like... Whereas the Spinosaurus, I didn't believe it. It just, yeah. But it still looked cool, and like they did a good job in bringing it to life. I saw Fallen Kingdom, and I should map out what was going to happen. Scene. Didn't bother with Dominion. Yeah, pretty much. Also, that was the thing that, I mean, I just thought was pure stupid too. Was like... The ending of which one was it? Fallen Kingdom, Dominion, whichever one. The one that ended with the auction and the wee clone girl, spoilers, pressing the release button and sending all the dinosaurs out into the wilderness. And like they were going on about it as if, we need to learn how to live alongside dinosaurs now. And it's like, guys, how many dinosaurs were released? A, they're big. B, they were released within the United States of America. There's a lot of hunters who will love, illegal or not, who will love to bag themselves a T-Rex or a Brontosaurus or whatever. Like, I just find it just so... It's yeah. I just find it really weird where it was just like, oh well, the dinosaurs are out there now, and it's like, okay, and people are just gonna let velociraptors live out there. People are just gonna let a T-Rex full on just dander through Central Park Zoo or wherever that was. I don't even care, but like, you know, it just made no sense within the context of the United States of America. You know? Like, The Lost World made sense, where it was like, there's an island full of dinosaurs. Let's go and bag them and tag them and capture them, you know, and bring them to the zoo. That's what we're going to do. You know, like, that sadly made sense, you know. Corporate America shows up to cash in its investment. Whereas this one, it was just like there's not enough of them to, like, we're already struggling with having enough pandas in the world, and we're worried about like one T-Rex. Guys, I don't know if you know how T-Rexes work. I don't know if you know how pretty much most, if not all, animals work. I don't know, maybe it's frog DNA or something. Anyway, Fallen Kingdom had some good ideas. I liked the way it was shot in the scenes with the Indoraptor, but I hated the human clone stuff, and saving the dinosaur stuff was so dumb. Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, I think the human clone stuff was kind of one of the few things that it was like a totally new and fresh idea, and I loved the idea that, the whole Clonosaurus thing was done as a means to bringing this little girl back from the dead. I thought that was kind of cool. Hokey, but cool. But yeah. I'm looking forward to the next Jurassic World. Oh, there's another one. So Gareth Edwards is directing, the same guy who did 2014 Godzilla and Rogue One. He's an excellent director. I'll be down for that. I loved Rogue One. Godzilla, I saw it in the cinema. I remember Bryan Cranston and Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen were in it. That's about it. The thing I hated most about Dominion was how they did nothing with the plot of the dinos coexisting with humans. They basically ignored it for a boring plot about locusts. I know, right? You know, so they set up this interesting concept at the end, as nonsensical as it was, and I was kind of like, right, let's see where they go with this. And then in the next movie they're like, oh, they just chose not to go anywhere with this and chose friggin' locusts. Oh. Anyway, on that wonderful note, thank you so much for getting me to talk about Jurassic Park, because I love Jurassic Park, the first one. And although, fun fact, they got a fact wrong. Well, actually, they got loads of facts wrong in that first one. But one that always jumps out is, well, all major theme parks have delays. When Disneyland opened up in 1956, well, nothing worked. Yeah, but John, when Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists. One, Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't open when Disneyland first opened. But that's not the inaccuracy. Disneyland opened in 1955. Not 1956. Take that, John Hammond. But in fairness, John Hammond's been lying to them the whole time, so... Anyway, no problem, John. Always dying for a Jurassic Park discussion. Okay, folks. With all of that, I am going to leave you for the evening. Have fun. Enjoy your Friday. And free Palestine.